Blog Talk Radio.
Carol the Coach. Sex, love, and relationships. We talk about it here.
Carol the Coach. Compassion with contemporary relevance.
I am a psychotherapist. I can be your personal life coach, and I can help you with your issues. There are no problems too small or too big. You can talk about anything.
Speaker, columnist, radio TV host, and commentator. Carol the Coach brings messages of wellness and empowerment within reach of everyday people every day.
Almost 5 years ago, I lost my soulmate in an accident. He was killed in a plane crash. Life just, for me, has seemed to stop.
There are groups all over the city. I teach one. It is a specific way to start thinking so that you shift how you see the world, which then shifts your energy, and then you feel better and you actually see things differently.
Carol the Coach. Always available too at carolthecoach.com.
Now I've got Russell on the line.
I'm 47 years old. I'm a truck driver. I'm married. I have a wife in San Francisco.
Okay.
I haven't been home in 6 months. My thing is, I don't know if I have a sex addiction or what the problem is. Why do I want what I can't have? And as soon as I can have it, I don't want it anymore.
You're right on target when you say, I don't know if I have a sexual addiction. Well, guess what? Yes, you do. And you know what? That's my specialty, Russell, so you're at the right place. Continue.
I meet women online, and I'm in a different part of the country. I travel all 48 states, so I love sex.
I hear self-esteem issues. You never felt good enough, and you didn't feel like you were getting what you should have then, and you're reenacting that now. Do you want to change that about yourself? I got an interesting email this week. He says, thank you for taking my email in question. My girlfriend and I listen to you on the radio.
And we always enjoy the fact that you're so candid. You are definitely somebody who tells it like it is. Aren't you afraid of hurting people's feelings? Well, no, I'm not. Because here's what I know to be true. It is so important to be open and honest about this sex addiction and the partner betrayal that occurs as a result. And so I am a believer in telling it like it is so that people will know where they stand with you. And I do that too. And I tell my clients, if I appear too bold, if I'm too brutally honest, I just had a client who's super sensitive. He's one of my favorites. And he came back, and I had actually talked about the fact that his addiction appeared to be a trauma reenactment from his childhood. And I said, wow. Just in the way that you were abused by your uncle, you are now participating in sexually addictive behavior where you're doing the exact same thing. Well, he didn't say anything to me at that moment. But the next time he came in, he said, I don't know, Carol, I don't know. Sometimes it's like you don't have a filter. And he went on to share with me that had been very hurtful. It had stopped him in his tracks. He wasn't sure he believed it, but that he felt like, and he wanted me to know that I needed to approach that with more sensitivity than I had. Okay. Well, here's what I know about this gentleman. I'm very honest. He can count on me to say it like I see it. But I do know he's extra sensitive. And maybe I should have thought about how that would affect him. I have to admit, I thought I was describing a pattern I was seeing. But what he heard was, you are just like your uncle. And that's what devastated him so much. So here's what I know. My famous, here's what I know to be true. Our intentions are usually very honest, and they're meant to do good. But I hold myself 100% responsible and accountable for information that's delivered in a way that's hurtful. And that's what I heard him saying. So I appreciated his feedback and really will remember to be more sensitive with him later on down the road. Now, you know that when somebody's been molested, it can create trauma reenactment, and then the sexual addiction can look a lot like that initial molestation. However, what's happening is now the person that was molested is becoming the perpetrator. Now, I don't mean that people that are molested molest others. I'm actually saying that people who have been molested in certain ways may act out in those same certain ways with other people, you know. And so that is one of the devastating repercussions of having experienced trauma as a child. Now, if you're like my guest tonight, the trauma that she experienced by being a partner really affected her immunological system. And she actually had to make the decision to move away from the relationship because it was, I don't want to say it was killing her, but it was definitely taking a toll on her body. So I'm real excited to be interviewing Kat Clark, who has written 4 books on partner trauma and sexual addiction from a partner's point of view. And what she has just been told from her publisher is that they've decided to put the 4 books into one book. So instead of this being a series, which it is today, they are going to combine them all. Kind of like a trilogy, I think. And she wanted to make sure that I let you all know that, because I know that when I looked it up on Amazon today, it said it wasn't available, and I'm sure that's because they're condensing it. Now, she is a big believer in couples restoration, even though her marriage didn't make it. So she's going to be talking to us about why. And she's going to be talking to us about her health and how she's doing. So I'm real excited about that, too. What we want to believe is that the people in this field that decide to give back are really wanting to make a difference. And that in and of itself is so important. And so I know that anybody who wants to make a difference can. We are all powerful beyond measure. And it's so important for us to own our power. I mean, that's what I talk about repeatedly. I talk about the fact that we are all born for greatness. We really have so much to offer. And our journey into partner trauma or sex addict trauma can strengthen us and make us much, much better. We can find our purpose and our passion. Now, maybe you're already doing that. Say you're a doctor listening to this show. Well, you're doing it. Maybe you're a grandmother with 13 grandkids and 4 great-grandkids. Well, you're doing it. Maybe you're the most incredible mother or father in the world. Well, you're doing it. So it doesn't have to be write a book or teach a course. But I got to tell you, there are lots of different ways to look for making a difference. Now, I'm just going to put in a little plug for 2 different courses I've got. One will be done by the end of the week, and that's a partner trauma course for post-traumatic growth. Super excited because it's actualizing potential. I just think it's amazing. And then, of course, the sex addict online course is about helping her heal. It describes the empathy workbook for sex addicts to help their partners heal. So if you're having trouble with this concept, or you wish you could hire me, this is the next best thing, because I talk you through all the chapters, every single one of them. And I give you articles to read and inspirational columns of mine to keep you going through this process. There's nothing more devastating than devastating your wife, because you've lived in addiction and lived a lie and lived a deceitful life. So it really is a way to help your partner heal, and I walk you through the course. So go to my website, www.sexhelpwithcarolthecoach, and read a little bit about the course, and then take advantage of it, would you? And if you have any questions, I am more than happy to help you with it. That's my motto. I'm a therapist, I'm a coach, and I'm ready to help make your life different. And so is Kat Clark, who has done a 4-book series that they are now collaborating. So, Kat, welcome to the show. Are you there?
Yes.
Excellent.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Carol?
Well, just fine. I mean, I am watching you just put out book after book after book, and it's like a real series of your life. And so I wanted you to tell us a little bit about what your publisher is wanting to do with the 4 books, and then let's talk about it a little bit, because you really are an advocate for couples, and you really do believe that they can restore their relationship, that you're so honest about your own recovery. Yeah. So first, tell us about your 4 books. What are the names? I know they're going to be putting it together, but just in case somebody can buy one, give us the names of each one of your books.
Okay, the first book, well, the series is called the Porch series, like front porch. The first book is Get Off My Porch. The second book is named Sitting on the Porch Swing. The third book is called Sweeping the Porch. And the last book is My Porch Light.
Right, and now your publisher wants to put all 4 of them together, right?
Yes. I actually came up with the idea that instead of buying the 4 separate books and having to go back through 4 separate books to put them all in one book, where a person will have that book right in their hand and they can actually go back and refer to different things that they're trying to put into practice. And he was all about it. And plus, it'll be cheaper buying 1 versus 4.
Oh, absolutely. And so in some ways it's making it easier for the reader to just hang in there and go through the entire series in one. So tell me, when do you think the series, this one book, will come out?
Well, actually, I talked to my publisher Friday, and they are, I have approved the final text, and they are printing it. So I believe probably mid-January. They say they're going to move it pretty fast. They're pretty excited about it.
Oh,
may I say something kind of off topic here?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was listening to your introduction while I was waiting, and you were talking about the Helping Her Heal book. I asked you about it. I emailed you, and I ordered that for Frank. He's actively doing the workbook, and he is learning so much about me and the struggles I went through. So I just want to tell you, I guess I'll tout your book too. He is really learning a lot, and it's helping him understand my struggles. So good book, Carol. I read it first. So yeah.
Well, that is what I'm finding. A lot of times the partners are buying it, they're reading it, and they're saying, yes, honey, go ahead and read this, because this will help you to understand how I'm doing and why I'm affected the way I am. So thank you, Kat. That means a lot coming from you. Now,
you're quite
back
welcome.
Back on topic. tell me a little bit about, you know, your belief about couples. Do you think couples can restore their relationship from all the damage that sexual addiction, you know, causes?
I absolutely do, but I personally, we tried it without professional counselors that dealt specifically with sexual addiction. But I believe you need to go with the professional counselors that are specifically licensed in this addiction, because we went to marriage counselors. It was a waste of time and money. It really was. And because the partner has to deal with a lot of emotions, such as betrayal, abandonment, rejection, anxiety, and in most cases they don't trust the addict because they've been lied to, manipulated, and controlled. And getting a little personal here, my husband got to the point that he didn't want me sexually, so I developed a poor body image, and I still struggle with it, even though we are divorced now. We've been divorced for over a year. But it's also important that the partner, and this is what my books are about, that they get an education on the addiction to understand the struggles that the addict's going through. It's not an easy read, but it really helps the recovery tremendously. I don't believe anyone chooses to be an addict, and that negative circumstances in their life is probably the main reason they make bad choices to relieve the emotional pain they're going through. So I absolutely believe.
Oh, wow. And so what I heard you saying is that absolutely couples can get past this, but it requires a good counselor that has specialty in sex addiction and partner betrayal.
Absolutely.
And, you know, it requires a lot of education for both the addict and the partner on what sex addiction is all about in some ways, so that the partner who's already horribly betrayed won't take things personal if their husband won't have sex with them. You know, what did you learn about that? I know you don't want to get too personal, but did you learn anything about sexual anorexia?
Mine was more abandonment, I guess. And am I answering the question correctly?
Yeah, because you're answering from your heart.
Okay.
So yours was from abandonment, and what we know as certified sex addiction therapists is that sometimes the addict shuts down his sexuality totally so that he won't have to deal with it. And, of course, that re-damages or re-harms the partner, who then doesn't feel attractive or like she's wanted or needed. And I'm not sure what happened.
Or not good enough.
Not good enough. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's
how I felt.
Okay. And so here he is. You two are divorced, but he is actually working on understanding who you are and the damage that he caused and what he can do to repair that. Is that correct?
That's correct, but we started out as really good friends. And so I'll go into it a little later, the reasons why the divorce, I had to have that. But we started out as really good friends, and the divorce was very calm. He totally understood my need I had some serious healing to do, and I could not do it while living together. But I took it upon myself to dive into sexual addiction. It was not easy. And my books leave out a whole lot of stuff that you probably don't want to read about, but I, being my friend, and I do love him, I wanted to know what happened. What happened that he ended up in this situation, in this addiction. I did it out of love. I wanted to understand. So then I started writing the books.
Well, that makes sense. And I know that this addiction changed who you were. I mean, before you married him, you were very secure, confident, and you loved your life. You were healthy, and you really were not ashamed of your body at all.
No,
so
I was a personal trainer for 30 years. I thought I looked pretty good. Yeah.
Okay, so help us to understand how 20-plus years of neglect and kind of emotional abuse took a toll on your health.
Well, and the culprit was stress, and I went into depression. It was a bad situation, and I ended up with a compromised immune system. And my health is better now, but it's taking me years to recover. But I have to be careful because extreme anxiety can kick it back in. I'm not where I need to be at the end, but boy, I'm pretty close. So, yeah, and when it comes to your health, I mean, I gave up. I expected to die. I wasn't getting good news from the doctors.
That had to be so earth-shattering because here you are dealing with partner betrayal, and then things are not working out in the marriage, and then your body keeps score and takes on the trauma of betrayal, and your immune system shut down. So how did you get healthy again?
Actually, my son in Colorado is into natural treatments and stuff, and he bugged me till I flew out there and went to a kinesiologist, which started me on liquid herbs. I drank those for a couple of years, and then I really dove into natural healings and natural products. As a matter of fact, I've written a book that's coming out pretty soon, all about the natural stuff and how I healed. It's called Tips for a Healthier You. I thought I'd throw that in there. But
Great.
I did a lot of, I taught yoga for many years, and, I meditated and, of course, praying. I'm a Christian, I prayed, and, I just really made a promise to my body that I was going to get it back, and I wasn't going to let nothing stop me. Because my health that's the reason the divorce happened, was because I couldn't take it anymore health-wise.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about that. I mean, at what point did you decide, okay, I can't stay in this marriage, and then how did you navigate out of it?
Well, I would have stayed in the marriage, definitely. I would encourage anybody to stay in, if there's still the love there. But I do love him, but my health is still guarded, and I can't take the chance of a relapse. I was hospitalized twice and was going into anaphylactic shock, which, could kill you. But, and I haven't forgiven him yet for putting my health in danger, but, with the addict, their mind is a little different. When the addict is in control, I separate the man from the addict. I had to learn how to do that. I knew when I was dealing with the addict, I learned. And there's a lot of tricks in all these books to tell you what to watch for. But he didn't care. The addict in him didn't care. But he didn't understand the addiction and go to counseling until it was too late for me health-wise. And I'm 69 years old, and I want to enjoy the rest of my life. And, Carol, I feel like I was just tired of fighting a war I didn't ask for and may never win, because my health had to come first. Had it not been for that, we'd probably still been in here, and we'd have made it. I got no doubt we might have made it.
Yeah, but you had to put yourself first, which meant putting your health first. You couldn't take that chance.
Yeah, and, I can't stress enough to the partners that are listening to this, don't let it go as far as I did.
Well, actually,
you know, really
absolutely
watch your self-care and your health rather.
So what kind of relationship do you have with your ex-husband now?
Well, I like this part. Yeah, we are maintaining our friendship. We're buddies. We, you know, if a real friend is someone you can trust, but see, with the addictive behaviors like lying and manipulation, it makes it hard to trust them again. So he's getting better about the lying. I started catching him lying, but I called him out on it. So we kind of, you know, give kudos when we see growth or something, but we also are able to calmly sit down and discuss, like adults, what is going on, what caused this problem. There's no more yelling anymore, and I mean, he is there for me, and I'm there for him. We're not the usual, we're not the norm, but we were able to remain friends, and it's great.
Well, that's good. And so do you think, you know, that he just did too little, too late? I mean, it's almost like he didn't understand about his own addiction when I read these books, and it's like he definitely didn't understand the trauma that he caused you.
I can't speak for him, but I can only say what I feel it was watching him in action, so to speak. I don't think he thought he had an addiction. I thought he's like, well, I can stop this any time, you know. And come to find out, you know, I finally gave him a choice. I said, now, I'm going to divorce you, or you're going to go to a specialist in sexual addiction. And I'm not talking, you know, go once a week for a month. He was sequestered in the mountains in Colorado. You know, no cell phones, no TV, nothing. And you know, that was an amazing thing for him. And once he learned he was an actual addict, and I got the word he was an addict, I fell apart. But neither one of us thought about it being a real, you know, I kind of looked like, well, they're kind of sort of addicted, or maybe they are addicted sometimes. No, when you're addicted, you're an addict. That's it. And that was hard news for both of us. And then I knew when I heard it might take a year or so, I thought my health can't handle this. So.
Yeah, and so tell our listening audience, when you say he was sequestered in the mountains of Colorado, what was that like for him? Obviously, he went into treatment.
He did. I'm a humorous little girl here, and I'd like to say when he came home, he looked like he'd had life kicked out of him. But he learned so much, and he had tools to work with. You know, he had actual tools to work with, and, you know, you can get in each other's way because my recovery is much different than his, as you know. And I think he will tell you, it is the best decision I ever made for him.
And how long was he gone?
He was gone for 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
And so I'm thinking that might be my friend's program. I don't remember reading about that in the book, but if it is, my friend who runs that program is very partner sensitive. He teaches men about partners. How long ago was it that your husband got treatment?
2017. I think September the 9th. I'm guessing. I don't know. But can I say a name?
Yeah.
Can I ask you if it's the one we went to?
Yeah.
Michael Barta.
Oh,
I'm my buddy.
It was who?
Michael Barta.
Yes, Michael Barta from Begin Again in Colorado.
He knows you again.
He's got
and
a
speaks
great
very highly. He knows you. Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, and he's an APSATS, which is that partner-sensitive trauma treatment program. I mean, he has gone through our training, but he was educating these guys even before he went through the treatment. The training. He knew that the wife was traumatized and that the men had to understand what you were going through. So I'm glad he's your buddy, and we think a lot of him. That's for sure. Now,
well, and yeah, may I jump in here?
Well,
now,
yes,
ours is a little bit different because they do have a program for the partners. But my health, I couldn't go to that. I had to have private counseling because, like little things, I have PTSD, from it all. And if I heard stories that other women, I was really messed up, that other people told being a partner, I would get triggered, and then I would get anxious, and then you might have to rush me to a hospital. So I had to have private counseling, and I'm going to tell you, he sat there, and he was the kindest man I'd ever met, and it's amazed me that not only, usually it is like a counselor, I've learned this, a counselor will work with the addict, and then other counselors work with the partner. He works with both. And so he understands, and they tell the men when, Frank said that when he was there, he said there wasn't a dry eye in the place when they explained the damage they'd done to the partners. Mm-hmm. So I loved it that, they have a staff that they cover all of it.
Well, that's good to know. And, again, you're so open-minded, considering that you had to, for the preservation of your own body and mind, get a divorce. The fact that you two are really good friends now and try to support each other with the best you can. So what advice would you give to the partners of addicts to stay strong during their recovery?
Well, I'd like to give them a little warning, actually.
Okay.
Don't make the same mistake I did. Start your recovery now, no matter where you're at in this thing, because your emotional and physical health is more important than anything you might be going through. Because after he moved out, I believe the most important thing I did for my recovery was learn to be grateful for what I have instead of what I'd lost, because the divorce was heartbreaking for me. And it was for him. But I actually sat down and made a list of everything I was grateful for, and that small task gave me the motivation and determination to take my life back and be happy and fight for my health. Because during the marriage, I imagine they can all your listeners can relate to this. I had no motivation at all, and I was pretty much robotic most of the time. Wasn't much of a social life. He rarely took me out. So after I retired, I decided to take a jewelry design class, and I am a licensed jewelry designer now, and which was a godsend because it brought out the creativity in me. I knew I was creative, but I had no idea. It was a God-given talent. So I opened my own business and did well, and gave me a sense of accomplishment. But that temporarily helped take my mind off the problems in the marriage. So sometimes, and it's hard to get started if you're depressed, sometimes you're like, by golly, I'm going to do something to make me feel good about me, because he didn't make me feel good about me. But I think one of the biggest mistakes a partner can make is to neglect your self-care. That is so important during the recovery period, because I fell into victim mentality, which I imagine most of the listeners feel that way. It's a bad place to be. I did it for probably 19 years. I was a good wife, didn't deserve to be treated that way, but that wasn't enough, so I fell down deeper into self-pity, and that's a very dangerous place to be. But
well, it's so, yeah, and it's so interesting because I'm doing this post-traumatic growth course, and they say true post-traumatic growth means you have found new forms of creativity, and it lights up your brain and gives you dopamine just in the same way as being with your puppy or loving on your husband before the betrayal, and that you, having done this jewelry certification, that had to make you feel good about you.
It did, and he was very supportive. He'd help me string beads or whatever, and he helped me with it, and which gave us something to do. But I'm creative anyway, so that pushed me to do more. It's just I kept telling myself, God don't make no junk. I'm worth this, and I am going to make it, and I did.
Oh, absolutely. That's the attitude to have, and to know that intentional self-care is the vehicle that got you back on the road to health. That is so important. Now, I got to ask you, how would you describe your relationship with your husband now? You said that, you're friends and that he's not perfect and you catch him in little lies from time to time, but you're no longer defined by who he is or by how he acts, right?
No, I'm not. However, I still, when he's around, I'm very self-conscious about my body. I'm a work in progress there. That's my biggest obstacle. I would say that's probably my only obstacle right now is feeling good about my body. And, that when I believe in sexual addiction, there is an attraction to each other. And it's, he told me one time, don't ask me for sex because, it makes me feel like I have to perform. And then the worst thing he ever said to me, he said, as long as I look you in the face, I'm fine, which to me equals, so long as I don't have to look at your body, I can do this. And that hurt. I'll never forget that ever. But,
sometimes addicts say things that they have no idea of the devastation and the trauma that comes out of that. And it sounds like he just didn't have a lot of insight about how emotionally hurtful that was. How did you end up moving out? What did you say, and when did that happen, and was that traumatic for you both?
Not really. I think he knew it was coming, but what I did. There's I think it's book 1 or 2. It's called Separation Preparation. It's the name of the chapter in there. And I got to thinking about it, and I thought, I'm in his way as much as he is in my way. And I very gently explained it to him. We're in each other's way. Because if you're here, I'm uncomfortable, and you're going to wait for that other shoe to drop. So, I did it in love because I had to do it. And I knew that he needed some space for me because, like I said, I'm a little more, my situation's kind of pretty bad because of the PTSD and the illness and stuff. And he understood. He understood that, I needed my space because I had to find me again. I lost me. That was the worst thing is I didn't even know who I was anymore. So, we talked about it. The finances allowed it. And he found a house, and we talked about we were separated for 6 months before I filed for the divorce. But, wow. I told him, and we had talked about rental property before, so we bought a house. And I said, and if we make it, it'll be a nice income. We can rent it out. So I even went and helped him pick out furniture. I helped him decorate. So, he was hurting too. I couldn't be mean to him. He was hurting too, but I learned that only through learning about the addiction. And when I went to counseling, I realized I wasn't the problem. His addiction was.
Mm-hmm.
And so me being educated on the addiction, that helped so much because, I didn't badger him about his sobriety because you're not going to believe him anyway, right? Yeah, and we quit throwing darts at each other. It's like we were actually on a mission to heal ourselves, but stay together and be supportive. If I can't be married, I want to be his best friend,
Well, and I'm going to tell you something because obviously he has made some devastating statements to a very strong woman who was a fitness trainer, for goodness sakes. Tell
I
me
wasn't
three
strong
things you
for
like
a lot
about
of
your
years, though.
body, Kat.
I'm sorry,
Tell
what?
me three things that you like about your body.
Okay. I have green eyes, long. I can't tell you much about my body, but I have green eyes. I look at least a decade younger than what I am, and I have real healthy hair, and I have a great sense of humor won't count, but that's about it.
Well, that's good. I like that.
Well,
I'm
not
me.
Yeah, I'm not fat, but I had to take 10 rounds of prednisone, which gave me a belly, and I'm very self-conscious about that.
I get that. We have some callers on the line. I'd like to try to take a couple of calls and see if sometimes we get pranksters. I'd like to see if these are real calls. Can you hang?
Sure.
Okay, here we go. Well, welcome to Sex Help with Carol the Coach. What can we do for you? Are you there? Okay, I thought I could hear breathing, but I'm going to try it again. Welcome to Sex Help with Carol the Coach. What can I do for you? We may actually have a connection problem. We'll try it one last time. And we're going to say, welcome to Sex Help with Carol the Coach. Do you have a question for Kat?
No, I don't. I just dialed in to listen tonight.
I didn't exactly hear that, but thanks for calling. Okay, Kat. So now I just want to begin to wrap up, and I want you to talk about the fact that you have found purpose and passion in your life. There is no doubt about it. You are now working with supplements, and you're writing a book on nutrition. And I want to ask you, what made you decide at 69 to continue to give back?
I know what it's like to be lost. I've always been a very strong person. And even though my story is a little sad one and all that stuff, I'm a Christian. I know that writing these books, I didn't do them by myself. I just felt that God was there, and you know what? I mean, He's blessed me with health. He's given me my health back. I've been led in so many directions of what to do, trial and error, a lot of it. But I hurt for these people. I don't mind telling you, I hurt for these people. I hurt to the point where I pulled my own hair out. These partners hurt. And I don't want to see these people hurt as long as I hurt. I hurt for 20 years. I want people to not go as far as I did and sit back and say, I give up. I can't do this. If I can do it at my age and claim my health back, I want to save people a lot of time because they are worth it. They did not ask to be put in this position. You know, the addicts didn't wake up and say, I want to be an addict. It's a fight. But you can do it. And like I said, I mean, quit throwing darts and just really look at the situation. Because at one time you looked at this person and you said, I loved them. You loved a lot of things about them. Everything started out right, and then suddenly hammer hit. It's in there, and they are struggling very hard too. I don't know how people will react, but I'm going to defend the addict once in a while. They're struggling too. And if you can get that love and understand each other, but unless you understand the addiction and betrayal trauma, you're really cheating yourself. You could go on and just live happily ever after. And I wish that for everybody, even if I didn't get it. Yeah.
Well, and that's who you are, and that shows your ability to empathize and to understand what people need. And so I appreciate your gift to addicts by being so understanding and knowing that they're doing the best they can. But they really do need education. They need to work with a specialist. They need to work with somebody who understands partner trauma. And then I just have a couple questions, because you said that you really believe that boundaries were an important part of helping him understand the struggle. So tell me a little bit about a few of the boundaries that you set and how you effectively explain those to him. Are you there? Oh, my goodness. Maybe we lost her, too. You know, I was doing the internet, and I am just not quite sure where we are here. Let's see here. I've got several calls on the line. Let's see. I got it. Okay, I'm asking Kat Clark to come on back the line. Kat, you are back on. Did you hear my question, or did we totally lose you?
No, I got a busy signal, so I just dialed back in. I didn't hear it.
Okay, what I asked you was, what were some of those really important boundaries that made a difference in you setting up support for you and having the bottom line for Frank?
Oh, well, book 3 is all about boundaries. That is my favorite book, because when I studied boundaries, effective boundaries, there's a way to do it and a way not to do it. That's when I started standing up and just really going forward. But the first, you got to know how to set them. And I researched boundaries for a month, I think. But the first one that I set was about lying, and I was firm but not rude. There's no need for that. And I told him that I detested lying when anybody lies to me. And if they do, I assume they can't be trusted. I didn't say to him, when you lie to me, because I just use people in general, because that would put him on the defense. And I also knew that his recovery required him to learn to be honest, which is very difficult for an addict because they cover up a lie with a lie. And I had to keep in mind he's a work in progress just like I am. And you know, I had to be careful how I approached him. I don't want him to be defensive because I'm trying to help him too. But I also put boundaries around arguments. I told him, and again, kindly, there's no, it's not like you start arguments. I'm not going to argue. I said, I told him I will engage in a discussion. And because arguing was one of the biggest mistakes we'd made. And we're not going to heal, because when one part starts yelling, the other one's not listening. They're thinking of their comeback. And addicts are not usually good listeners, as you know, when they're confronted, because they're thinking about what they're going to say. and they'll actually tune you out, and that would frustrate me to the point I'd get so angry. So my mouth started going. So it's non-productive. But also, when you, in my experience I speak from, when you call them or confront them out on bad behavior, they fall into shame. And when they fall into shame, they can't actively listen. And I told him the conversation will end if he attempted to control or manipulate me. And yeah, I had to end a few discussions. But see, a lot of that is about gaslighting, which I won't get into. But anyway, so are you talking about the different ways now that the different boundaries I set and how I did them, or?
Absolutely. Yeah. What made you set them, and what were the bounds? Yeah.
All right. We hadn't been sexually active for a long time, and now it's been, I guess, several years. I have no idea. But I didn't want to be used anymore to fulfill his fantasy, so I didn't want him touching me, of course. It gets to that point. So I had to set it on sexual groping because after the divorce, I believed he tried to seduce me because he started touching me in places that he shouldn't have. And I did ask him, and he said, yes, he was trying that. But I didn't smack his hands away and say, you fool, don't ever touch me there again. I was very kind when I set the boundaries. I said, you do not touch me there again, and don't kiss me on the mouth. And you know what? Bless his heart, he's never done it again. I had to set a boundary around.
You. He heard you loud and clear, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm told these green eyes pierce sometimes. So I guess I gave him the look. Yeah. I had to set boundaries around respect because and see now, people don't like to hear this. Partners don't like to hear this. I took the blame for allowing him to disrespect me. Because, when you're so emotional, you're just a wreck, and you can't think, and, you feel like you're being beat down, and then the betrayal and everything, it's easier to give in to them and just stop the drama. I was always a giver. He was more than happy to be the receiver. But I learned through my research that respect goes back to manipulation and control. So when you give them that power, they're very happy to take it, and they start to believe they can treat you any way they want to. So I basically told him, and there was no voices raised. I promise you, if he was here right now, he'd tell you the same. I told him, I said, I will be calling you out when you try to control me, because I gave my power away, and this is what I didn't say I have to do. I said, and this is what I'm going to do to get it back. And I did call him out on it every time, but I was nice about it and let him know I wasn't going to back down. And that has absolutely worked for us. You can be firm without, calling them names and all that stuff. You look and get the eye contact. I'm going to do it because Kat's coming back, and stand back. But then after the
stuff, what you did, you practiced assertiveness, and that was so important. I mean, assertiveness means that you're clear and direct about what you feel, what you think, and what you want. It doesn't mean he gets your way, but at least he can't ever say he didn't know what was going on.
Absolutely. And you know what, Carol? I can't talk enough about boundaries. You'd have me on here all night. When I started standing up for myself and setting boundaries, I was taking my power back and didn't even know it. And it made me, it just really repelled me forward. It's like, my gosh, I have a right to do this. And you do have to be direct. You really do. And so it's definitely worked for us. But Yeah.
So thank you so much. I get the partners don't necessarily want you to own the fact that you felt like you contributed in some ways to the problem because you didn't know what you didn't know. And, you know, sometimes we enable and we don't mean to, and sometimes we're codependent and we don't mean that, and sometimes partners can have so much grace and compassion that they don't take a hard line. And it's all trial and error, and you have learned so much. I encourage so much for my listeners to look for that book series to come out, all in 4 books. It is the My Porch series, and it sounds like it'll be in January. Let me know, and I'll let everybody know once it is officially out. Any last words of advice?
They are still for sale individual. You can find them about anywhere. Walmart's even carrying them now. So you can still buy them individually for the next year.
Okay, well, I got on
and then
Amazon
I'm going to cancel
today,
that and just do the.
I could not on Amazon today. So I'm just saying.
You what now?
You couldn't get it on Amazon. It said not in print.
Oh, the individual books?
Yeah, I think it was actually My Porch Light. I just wanted to see, how they were displayed. I didn't know if they were one package, and so I just did some research this morning. But Kat Clark, I thank you so much. You've got 30 seconds. Anything else that you'd like to tell our listening audience? Because it is addicts and partners.
Oh, hello, everybody. Do the work. Your marriage is worth it. Your relationship is worth it. Do the work. And you know what? Give each other grace. I mean, these things, I think that sexual addiction is an epidemic. I really do. And, think about where you used to be and where you want to go back to, and speak softly and speak in love. And I know it hurts. I sometimes when I pray for the partners and addicts at night, I cry. I know how it hurts. But your relationship is worth it. And just sometimes you need to go back and look at back when you first met, and you want to get back there. But I think what I want to tell the partners, the addicts now probably understand what the partners go through. But when I speak to the partners, their struggle is real. Their struggle is real. I mean, addiction changes the brain. Things happen in the brain. And, just love each other, and I think you can do it. I know you can do it. Divorce is not always the answer. It was necessary for me.
Right. Well, thank you so much.
Keep listening to Carol.
And keep us posted. We want to know about what you're doing. So thanks again for contributing to the show and for writing these books.
You are quite welcome, Carol. God bless you.
God bless you, too. Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye, hon.
And that was Kat Clark, and she has made it her own to educate addicts and partners alike about sexual addiction and partner betrayal. Okay, everybody, I will see you next week for more sex help with Carol the Coach. And I just want to say, there will only be one of you at all times, so fearlessly have the courage to be yourself. We'll see you back here. Same time and same place.